But it just reminds us that there will be adversity. There will be enemies. There will be problems. And when we resort near him, we're going to be just fine, right? Remember, he is there. We will be just fine. And we're going to see that tonight as the enemies will attack. The name of this message is, we got troubles right here in David City. Any fans out there? All right, I got a few fans. So far we have seen this. I'll go to Nehemiah chapter 2. And there we have in Nehemiah chapter 2 the fact that Nehemiah asked the king, may I go? I hear reports that the city is still in shambles. The walls are down. The city's a mess. And he says, I want to go back. And the king says, yes. In fact, in Nehemiah chapter 2, starting in verse 4, then the king said unto me, for what dost thou make request? So I prayed to God of heaven. That's very important for Nehemiah. When you're studying Nehemiah, again, what's the first thing Nehemiah does? Praise. It sounds like just even like in between the request and the answers, like, Lord, can we do that? Can we throw up a quick prayer and ask for the Lord's wisdom and words? Absolutely. And I said unto the king, verse 5, it pleased the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may what? Build it. Not just the walls, but the city. And this decree is an important marker in history. Just keep something in Nehemiah, but let's go real quick over to Daniel chapter 9 and remind ourselves that earlier, yeah, I know Daniel's after Nehemiah in the Bible, but Daniel was before Nehemiah. And Daniel wrote in Daniel chapter 9, he had this vision of these times to come and God's finishing work with his people. Since Abraham, it has been God's intent that he complete his work with his people. His people did not always obey. They went astray. They ended up in Babylon. He brought them back. They denied the Christ. I mean, all that's going to happen. But he will finish his work, and it's going to take 70 years. And some of that, 70, more than that, 70 weeks, sorry. 70 weeks, 490 years. It's going to take 490 years for him to complete his work, and that clock starts with what we just read. Look at Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. Know therefore and understand. Boy, when God says that, you better what? Understand. Pay attention and understand. That from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem. Again, this isn't the decree that they can go back and rebuild the temple. That was Cyrus, right? This is to rebuild the city, so that's the one we're talking about right now with Nehemiah. From that commandment to restore and to build the city Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince. This is a big deal, isn't it? Until the Christ shall be what? 7 weeks, 49 years, and then 62, 62 weeks, otherwise known as 434 years. The streets shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times, right? So this started a clock to the Messiah. They should have been marking days and saying, okay, the Messiah is going to be riding through that fence that we're building. He's going to ride through that gate exactly this time. By the way, were they paying attention when Jesus came? No. They were not. In fact, what did he tell us? Verse 26, and after that 62 weeks, that 434 years, shall Messiah be cut off. He's going to show up exactly when he says he's going to, and they're going to kill him, but not for himself. And the people of the prince shall come and destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood unto the end of the war of desolations are determined. In fact, that is talking about the fact that in 70 A.D., Rome comes and does what to Jerusalem again? Destroyed it, burned it to the ground, knocked it all this work they're doing that we're talking about in Nehemiah is going to last until the Christ. That temple they build during the time of Ezra, before Ezra, and into the time of Ezra, that temple is the one Jesus goes to. These walls, these gates that Nehemiah is building are the ones that Jesus will walk through. The Christ will come, and all of those walls, all those gates, and that temple will be what? Destroyed in 70 A.D. Okay? This is all prophesied. Did it happen exactly that way?
Yep.
Which also means, verse 27, and God shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. In the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice of the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. And he says there will be 1 more week. If anybody can add, how many can add?
1.
7 plus 62 is 69. And there's 70 weeks. There's still 1 more week out there. Still 1 more 7-year period for God to complete his work with his people. Okay? And that 7 years, we don't know when that starts. He doesn't give us any timer. Doesn't say as of this date start counting. We don't know when that happens, but will he do that? If he did the 49 and he did the 434 and he came and the city was destroyed just like he said, hundreds and hundreds of years before it happened, is he going to get that right too? Okay. That's why this is so important. So let's go back to Nehemiah. That proclamation goes out and Nehemiah goes back to the city. He doesn't tell anybody. Quietly comes to the city. Waits 3 days, and then he goes out and surveys. We saw as he made that little trek down through the bottom of the city and said, this is a mess. This is terrible. And then finally in chapter 2, verse 17, then I said unto them, the rulers, the nobles, those of the city, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we may be no more a reproach. Which again was what God said. If you don't get your act together, I'm going to send Babylon down here, and everybody, when they see the city of Jerusalem, are just going to do this. You realize how long it's been? The 70 years of exile into the term of Persia, all the way through Cyrus, all the way through who's the guy? Cambyses, and then next guy, Camus, and then Xerxes, and then Artaxerxes. I mean, it's been a long time. They've been in Jerusalem for a long time. Enough time to build the temple, a time to, for Ezra to come and say, you all got to get rid of these strange wives, right? All that has happened, and what? They still haven't built the city. So Nehemiah comes, time is now. And we saw last week, all right, folks, let's get to work. You take that section, you take that section, you take that section, and everybody started doing that, right? And everything's running around like clockwork. And what can stop it now? People. People are involved. Aren't people terrible? How many are tired of being people? People are a problem. And we already see some of them. In fact, look at Nehemiah chapter 2, verses 19 and 20. Even after he goes and said, let's get started, verse 19, but when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the servant and the Ammonite and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they laughed us to scorn and despised us and said, what is this thing you do? Will you rebel against the king? Then answered I them and said unto them, the God of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore we his servants will arise and build, but you have no portion, no right, nor memorial in Jerusalem. This is not your home. Now why would they think that? Well, because during that time they were cast out. Who was living there? The Samaritans, which Sanballat's pretty much the governor of Tobiah's, that area. And they've been living there, right? Remember, the Assyrians brought people in, the Babylonians let people come in. Other people have been living there for a couple of generations, right? And now here they come back and say, this is our city. You have no part here, we're building it. Aren't you glad all that question of who owns Jerusalem and has been settled? You guys know there's all still the West Bank and everything like that. We're talking about Gaza right now and over there, but West Bank is that's Jerusalem. There's problems here still. People still fighting over this. Who really owns this area, right? In fact, what's sitting on the mount right now? Is it a temple to God? No, it's a temple to somebody else. Some non-God, right? This is a problem. So here we go. And he says, you're out of here, but is the problem just starting? And it's going to start with mockery. So what? What is the old phrase? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Is that true, actually?
No.
Can words hurt? Sometimes worse than sticks and stones, can't we? But that's what they start with. They start with yelling at the people as they're working, saying, you've got to be kidding. You're going to fail. This is all going to be bad. In fact, look at Nehemiah chapter 4. Chapter 4 of Nehemiah. But it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall, he was wroth, angry, and took great indignation and mocked the Jews. This is usually the first step, is to make fun of. Call names. Try to discourage, right? It's a low level. It shows they don't have a lot going for them. Name calling and stuff like that is the lowest form of human interaction, but that's where they start, right? Verse 2. And he spake before his brothers and the army of Samaria and said, what do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Now, that's not talking about sacrifice to God. Will they actually put in the effort? Will they really sacrifice their lives? Will they sacrifice their money? Will they sacrifice their time? Will they really do that? To do this needless, worthless project that will never come to fruition? Not going to waste their time, are they? Will they make an end in a day? They think this is going to take months, right? This could take years. They're not going to sacrifice like that. That's what they're saying, right? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which are burned? This is far beyond. This project's too big. And won't the world say that? When God has called us to something and we start out doing it, of course, the first thought in our own head may be, this is too big. This can't be done. And will the world sort of fortify that and say, oh, no, there's nothing you can do. Just you feeble, you're not smart, you're low IQ, you're stupid, you're ugly, and they'll start all kinds of name calling. What makes you think you can do that? Yeah, our faith is not in ourselves or our looks. Our faith is in what? God. And Tobiah gets into it. Now Tobiah, he's the servant. The Ammonite was by him, and he said, even that which you build, if a fox go up, he shall even break down their stone wall. If a fox jumps on it, it's going to fall down. So they're trying to get in their heads, right? Will the world try to get in our head? Will Satan try to get in our head? Yeah. Who do we need in our head? Right. That's why you need the helmet of salvation, right? Put on that helmet and be ready to go. Of course, what does Nehemiah do? Anybody want to guess what Nehemiah does?
He knows it.
Verse 4. Hear, O our God. He prays, right? They start getting to you, start getting in your head. Go to the source of all things, right? Go to the source of all strength. Hear, O our God, for we are despised, and turn their reproach upon their own head, and give them for a prey in the land of captivity, and cover not their iniquity, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee. For they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, and the people had a mind to work. It didn't work, did it?
No.
Because they turned to who?
God.
And basically like, hey, let those things bounce us up and go back at them, right? Let them just go here and go right back at them. Let them see, and let's get to, and they got half the work done quickly. Huh? Things are good. They're looking good. They get past mockery. So then they said, okay, let's start making it a little harder. Let's start actually attacking them. Let's stop them from building. Starting in verse 7. But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites, you notice this group's getting bigger. Anybody notice that? As they keep building it up, the mockers and the attackers and the enemy just keeps growing. Can that happen too? Yeah. Heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up and that the breaches began to be stopped, then they were angry and conspired all of them together to come and to fight against Jerusalem and to hinder it. So if they can't stop you by making you stop, right? You question, you doubt, they may actually physically try to get you to stop, right? Or maybe go to the courts or go to or try to make laws or things like that, right? They will try to stop you. By any means necessary. And where do you think they went? What would be their next step? Verse 9. Nevertheless, we made our prayer unto God and set a watch against them day and night because of them. We prayed to who? Prayed to God. That's what you do, right? They're attacking us. We pray to God. We lean on Him. Okay? But they kept coming. The mockery kept coming. The attacks kept coming. And they started to break down the will of the people. They started to get discouraged. And they started to fear. Verse 10. And Judah said, the strength of the bearers of burden is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build the wall. They're like, this is getting to be too much. There's so much rubbish. Yeah, they got kind of half of it done, but we're getting down to stuff that's just garbage. How are we supposed to build the rest of it? How are we supposed to keep going here? And our adversaries said, they shall not know, neither see, till we come in the midst among them and slay them and cause the work to cease. The work just keeps getting harder, and they keep saying they're going to come kill us. That put some fear in your heart? And that's getting in their what? Getting in their head. Verse 12, and it came to pass that when the Jews which dwelt by them came, they said unto them, us 10 times, from all places whence you shall return unto us, they will be upon you. They're talking amongst themselves. They're getting word from their own people saying, hey, they're coming. They're going to attack you. Protect yourself. Get away from there, right? So what's he going to do? I'm sure he prayed. It didn't say that. How many think he probably prayed? And did this, verse 13. Therefore set I in the lower places behind the wall and on the higher places. I even set the people after their families with their swords, their spears, and their bows. And I looked and rose up and said unto the nobles and to the rulers and the rest of the people, be not ye afraid of them. Remember who? The Lord, which is great and terrible, and fight for your brothers, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your houses. He's a good speech maker. He's one of the ones that I want to talk to when we get to heaven. He's just a cupbearer. Just a cupbearer. He's a leader. Yeah, man. He's a leader, right? God put him in that position to be here, right? And he makes great speeches. Why are they great speeches? Because they have nothing to do with how great he is, how great the people are, but how great who is. How great God is. So if you want to make a great speech to really encourage people, talk about God, right? Because he's bigger than all of us. And then what happened? Verse 15. And it came to pass when our enemies heard that it was known unto us, and God had brought their counsel to nothing, that we returned all of us to the work, everyone unto his work. So the word got back to Sanballat and Tobiah that, hey, they know we're coming. They're prepared. They have people with spears and bows and swords protecting them. They're not giving up. So what? They kind of backed off a little bit, and the work continued with more emphasis. And it came to pass, verse 16, that from that time forth that the half of my servants wrought in the work, and the other half of them held both the spears, the shields, and the bows, and the habergeons. The what? Was that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And the rulers were behind all the house of Judah. So everybody was behind it. So they were working together. Isn't that nice? That's the way you do it. You don't split up. You what? You come together under who? Under God, right? Come together, help one another. In fact, look at verse 17. They which builded on the wall, and they that bear burdens, with those that laded, every one with one of his hands wrought in the work, and with the other hand held a weapon. He said they figured out how to bear these big rocks and beams and everything basically with one hand. They must have tied it up something over their shoulder or something like that. Because that's what they're like climbing up the hills with these stones. Or between two of them, everybody working the stone, putting the masonry on there with what? One hand. And carrying a sword with the other. We're not backing down. That's what we got to let the world know we're not backing down, right? We're standing with who? With God. Verse 18, for the builders, every one had his sword girded by his side, and so builded, and he that sounded the trumpet was by me. Nehemiah is watching over all this. And over the whole city, if anybody heard that somebody was coming, you blow the horn. And everybody do what? Verse 19, I said unto the nobles and to the rulers and the rest of the people, the work is great and large, and we are separated upon the wall, one far from another, right? Everybody's working on their own section, all the way around the entire city. In that place, therefore, you hear the sound of the trumpet, resort you thither unto us, our God shall fight for us. You hear it, stop what you're doing, stop your work, and everybody run to that point. And they will see that we are together, and who's going to fight for us? Oh, yeah, it's not us. It's not like, oh, if we all come together, we shall defeat them. It's like, no, just get together and God will take care of the rest, right? That's nice, isn't it? Verse 21. So we labored in the work, and half of them held the spears from the rising of the morning till the stars appeared. Likewise, at the same time, said I unto the people, let every one with his servant lodge within Jerusalem, that in the night they may be a guard to us and labor on the day. So you had these people basically working 12-hour shifts. And then they would go and stay where? They wouldn't leave, they'd go to Jerusalem. They would eat and they would sleep there, always on guard. So when they heard the trumpet, even I just got off a 12-hour shift. I'm trying to get some rest. You hear that horn, what do? Go. What did they say they wouldn't do? They would not sacrifice. Are they? Yes. They've left their families. They've left their fields. They've left all things, and they're staying there in Jerusalem, working round the clock, shift after shift after shift, so the wall can be built. Let's give them a hand, man. These guys are doing it. This is how we do it, right? Coming together, sacrificing for one another, helping one another. Verse 23, so neither I, nor my brothers, nor my servants, nor the men of the guard which follow me, none of us put off our clothes, saving that everyone put them on for washing. They clean them. What does that mean? They slept in their what? Clothes. Because that horn blows, what are they got to do? And this isn't just the workers. This is Nehemiah. What a great example. He is a fantastic leader. He's one of the best leaders in the Bible. Because when he makes a speech, it's always about God. He always prays, and he always lives by example. So, you feeling pretty good about this now? Things are moving along. Got half the wall done. Now we're really pushing forward. What could possibly go wrong now? Oh, yeah. We still have people involved. Not just people outside, but people where? Inside. And believe it or not, you wouldn't think that people at this point would use this as an opportunity to make a lot of money for themselves, would you? There's no way they would do that, would they? Greed couldn't take over and take advantage of people, could they? Yeah, they did. Chapter 5. And there was a great cry of the people of their wives against their brother, and of their wives against their brethren, the Jews. So everybody, husbands and wives, crying not against Sanballat and Tobiah, but against their own brethren. Why? Verse 2. For there were that said, we, our sons and our daughters are many, therefore we take up corn for them, that we may eat and live. Some also there were that said, we have mortgaged our lands, vineyards, and houses, that we might buy corn because of the dearth. There was a famine in the land. It says, I got a big family. I've got to feed them. I'm working what? 12-hour days, and then I'm on call in case something happens. I'm working. I can't go out and get corn. I can't go out, and I need to feed them, and I am mortgaging my own land so I can get enough money to buy the high price of corn and bread and all the rest of the meal so that I could just feed my family. And who would be profiting from this? The people that hand out the mortgages, which are who? Not Tobiah and Sanballat, but who? Other Jews. They're actually calling for usury, which is against the law of God. Heavy interest on people for these mortgages so they can feed their family. Pretty bad. Verse 3. Some also were that said, we have mortgaged our lands, vineyards, and houses that we might buy corn because of the dearth. There were also that said, we have borrowed money for the king's tribute, and that upon our lands and vineyards. Not only that, but their taxes. They don't even have money to pay their taxes. Why? Because they're not working their land. And they're having to mortgage their land and again, who's giving out those mortgages? Who's charging the high interest? Their own people. Yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brothers, our children as their children, and lo, we bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants, and some of our daughters are brought unto bondage already. Neither is our power to redeem them, for other men have our lands and vineyards. And it's gotten to the point where not only are they losing their land, but they're also having to sell off their children to be servants just to pay off these debts that they are making. Again, not to foreigners, not to those, but their own people are doing this to them. Let's say it all together. Boo! Boo to them. You got to be kidding me. You're using this as an opportunity to gain a bunch of land and gain a bunch of servants and gain a bunch of money. Unfortunately, again, who's involved? People. So messed up. So messed up. These are probably a lot of the same people who have been in the land a long time and never built the wall. Didn't do the things they're supposed to, and now look at them. Verse 6. And what do you think Nehemiah is going to do? Oh, I was mad. And I was very angry when I heard their cry and their words. Then I consulted within myself, and I rebuked the nobles and the rulers and said unto them. Now that's an interesting little statement. What does it not say? It doesn't say pray. He consulted within himself. Now normally you'd say what? Bad idea. But does God give us wisdom? Yes. And that's what, yes, it says he consulted within himself, but does he know the word of God? And does he care what God wants? Yes. Does he have wisdom? And with wisdom he went and he talked to the nobles and the rulers and said unto them, you exact usury, interest, every one of his brother, and I set a great assembly against them. And I said unto them, we after our ability have redeemed our brothers the Jews, which were sold unto the heathen, and will you even sell your brothers? Or shall they be sold unto us? Then held they their peace and found nothing to answer. It's like we have worked so hard to get out of bondage, right? God has set us free and brought us back to this land. We are free now, and now you were putting them under bondage? And what could they say? Yeah. They couldn't even come up with an excuse. They couldn't even blame somebody else for it, right? This is happening. Verse 9. Also I said, it is not good that you do. What you're doing is wrong. Ought you not to walk in the fear of our God because of the reproach of the heathen, our enemies? And again, how do you think this looks to people? What do you think Sanballat and Tobiah are saying? Look what they're doing, man. Yeah, they talk about us being heathens. They talk about us being, look what they're doing to their own people. Something to be said for that? Verse 10, I likewise and my brothers and my servants might exact of them money and corn. I pray you, let us leave off this. You stop it. Stop collecting interest on this. Instead, he says, verse 11, restore, I pray you, to them even this day their lands, their vineyards, their olive yards, and their houses, also the 100th part of the money and of the corn, the wine, the oil that you exact of them. Give them back the land. You don't have to give them back all the stuff. They ate it. But give them 100th back because you're charging too much to begin with, right? That's big, isn't it? It's not even Jubilee, right? That was the whole point of Jubilee, of God's plan, is that that nobody would take somebody else's land. Nobody would put people under such debt, would use such extreme measures to profit themselves. You don't do that to another human being. You don't do that to one of your brethren, right? And what do you think these people said? Last time somebody came down hard on them and said, get rid of your strange wives, they said, what? Yeah, let's get right. Think you're going to do it this time?
This is money.
Yeah, but this is money. This is something important. Not just wife and kids. This is it. This is land. This is real wealth. My wife's not here, so I do. Verse 12. Then they said, we will restore them and will require nothing of them. So will we do as you say. Then I called the priests and took an oath of them that they should do according to this promise. Also I shook my lap and said, so God shake out every man from his house and from his labor that performs not this promise. Even thus be he shaken out and emptied. And all the congregation said, amen, and I praised the Lord. And the people did according to this promise, and they did it. I love the theatrics, don't you? It's like, whoosh. Let you be shaken out too. You'll be knocked out of this land so quick. So, because this is important. How you treat each other is important. Remember how important it was? The whole building of the wall is about what? Them coming together. You hear the sound of the trumpet, everybody coming together. Everybody work together. Everybody stay here. Everybody sacrifice. And the noblemen are sitting there saying, how much money can I make off this? How much land can I get? How much power can I get? It's human nature. I'm not picking on them. It's human nature. That's why you need men of God like Nehemiah to sit there and say, what? No, you don't. In fact, that was, and they listened.
And we all do.
Yeah.
Just human nature.
Yep. And here's the cool part. Ready for the cool part? Look at verse 14. What makes Nehemiah such a great leader? Verse 14. Moreover, from the time that I was appointed to their governor in the land of Judah, from the 20th year even unto the 30th year of Artaxerxes the king, that is 12 years, I and my brothers have not eaten the bread of the governor. There was a portion. People were supposed to give. Give to the governor, give to the one in charge, under the emperor, right? Supposed to give to them so they would have plenty of food. And he says, the entire time I've been here, have taken nothing from the people. Verse 15. But the former governors that had been before me were chargeable unto the people, and had taken of them bread and wine, beside 40 shekels of silver. Yea, even their servants bear rule over the people, but so did not I, because of the fear of God. Before me, they were even taking money. And in addition to that, they were taxing the people. And think of Nottingham, right? King Richard, and and taking them out of the people. Again, how poor are they? There's a famine in the land. They have no walls. They're under attack all the time, and they're still doing that. So I haven't taken a dime from them. My servants haven't taken a dime from them. Have not taken the bread. Verse 16. Yea, also I continued in the work of this wall. Neither bought we any land, and all my servants were gathered thither unto the work. Not only that, we've been spending our time actually working. For who? For everybody, not just for ourselves. 17, moreover, he keeps going, there's more. But wait, there's more. Like those commercials, right? There were at my table 150 of the Jews and rulers, beside those that came unto us from among the heathen that are about us. As the ruler, he entertained, and he had people at his dinner table, 150 Jews, plus any visitors coming by. Is that a lot of people? How many like to feed that many people? Now that which was prepared for me daily was an ox and 6 choice sheep. Also fowls were prepared for me, and once in 10 days store up all sorts of wine. Yet for all this required not I the bread of the governor, because the bondage was heavy upon this people. I had to do that. I had to gain that. I had to procure that. I didn't take it from the people. I provided for it. Think upon me, my God, for good, according to all that I have done for this people. And it's all because of the fear of the Lord, because he said, I'm going to do what's right. Not what's convenient to me, not what's good for me, not what gives me security in this world. I'm going to do what's right for God. So he's a good example, isn't he? How many agree he's a great example? Man, what a great leader. So if you're Sanballat and Tobiah, what are you thinking now? We got to get rid of who? All right, yeah. I mean, they were probably watching that whole thing with people complaining. It's like, oh, here it goes, an internal strife. It's gonna blow them apart. Nehemiah says it, and everybody gets right. Oh man, that didn't work. The mockery didn't. The attacks didn't. The fear didn't. None of that's working. So we got to get rid of Nehemiah. So that was their next plan. Chapter 6, verse 1. Now it came to pass. Boy, that phrase keeps coming up, right? It's just like this one thing after another. Sometimes it feels that way, doesn't it? You're trying to do the thing of the Lord, and just one thing after another. External, internal, just keeps coming. And it came to pass when Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem the Arabian and the rest of our enemies, they got tired of just adding, I guess, at this point. I think the list just keeps getting too long. So, and the rest, it's kind of like Gilligan's Island, right? And the rest, heard I that I builded the wall, and there was no breach left therein, though at the time I had not set up the doors of the gates. So they have finished the wall all the way around without a breach, no place to go in. Now the doors are open, so got to work on that. That Sanballat and Geshem sent unto me, saying, Come, let us meet together in some one of the villages in the plain of Ono. Those tricksters.
Oh no.
Oh no, yeah. And he looked at it and said, Oh no. This was their plan. Hey, come this village over here. We just want to talk. But what did he know? But they thought to do me mischief, which is another word of saying what? Kill me. And I sent messengers on them saying, I am doing a great work so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and come down to you? He's being very polite. Oh, I haven't got time for that. Yet they sent unto me 4 times after this sort, and I answered them after the same manner. So, and they got to try to trick us, try to get, yeah, they may. That angle, this angle, that angle, the other angle. They're always, and even trying to go after him personally, but he's not falling for it. So then they start spreading rumors. That's not what. Let's start talking behind their back. Let's start making up stuff, right? Let's get the people against them. Let's get the other people against. Let's get everybody. Let's get the emperor against them if we can. Let's start saying all this stuff about them. Boy, these tactics have not changed. It's the same ones you see every day. Verse 5. Then sent Sanballat his servant unto me in like manner the 5th time with an open letter in his hand, wherein was written, It is reported among the heathen, and Gashmu saith it, that thou and the Jews think to rebel, for which cause thou buildest the wall, that thou mayest be their king, according to these words. We heard, this is always a great way to spread rumors, right? We heard that this was true. I didn't lie. I didn't say it was true. I said I heard it was true from this source over here. Again, the tactics have not changed one bit. And so we've heard that you're building this wall so you can rebel against the emperor. Verse 7. And thou hast also appointed prophets to preach of thee at Jerusalem, saying, There is a king in Judah, and now shall it be reported of the king according to these words, Come now therefore, and let us take counsel together. So he wouldn't come, so the 5th one comes, and it's like, hey, I heard this, and we're going to tell the emperor about this, that you've said that you want to be king, and you're telling everybody to come and have prophets. You even have hired prophets to come and say, you are the rightful king, and you're going to, the reason you have the wall is so you can rebel, and we're going to tell the emperor on you. But before we do that, let's talk. Is it going to work this time? Verse 8 and 9. Then I sent unto him, saying, There are no such things done as you say, but you feignest them out of thine own heart. You made them up. For they all made us afraid, saying, Their hands shall be weakened from the work, that it may not be done. Now therefore, O God, strengthen my hands. Notice who he went to? He prayed again. They're trying to do this. They're trying to weaken us. Let us not fall for their tricks. Let us not fall for their attacks. Let's settle any eternal issues. Let's dispel any fears. Let's be ready for any attacks. Let's keep moving forward. And it does. How are they doing so far?
A1.
So it's like, okay, I'm Tobiah. I'm Sanballat. What do I do now? What do I do now? Let's get somebody from the inside. Let's get somebody from inside to take him out. Right? That's what they try next. And will they do it to us sometimes? Try to turn somebody. maybe a little money changing hands, and somebody's not really committed except to themselves, and that's where they go next. Chapter 6, verse 10. Afterward I came into the house of Shemaiah, the son of Delaiah, the son of Mehetabel, boy, that's a big name, who was shut up. Now, that means he's kind of made a little fortress for himself, okay, in the city. And he said, let us meet together in the house of God, within the temple. And let us shut the doors of the temple, for they will come to slay you. Yea, in the night they will come to slay you. Come on, let's go to the refuge of the house of God. There's only one problem with that. Is Nehemiah a priest? Is he supposed to be going into the house of God? Is he supposed to be going into the inner chamber? Is he supposed? No. Who knows that? Shemaiah knows that. They're trying to do trickery. Thinking, oh, I've heard this. They're going to come attack you tonight. They're going to come slay you in your sleep. Well, I'll protect you. Come. We'll go to the house of the Lord. What does it say? Verse 11, I said, should such a man as I flee? And who is there that, being as I am, would go into the temple to save his life? No, I will not go in. And lo, I perceived that God had not sent him, but that he pronounced this prophecy against me, for Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. No, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to flee in there. Besides, he'd probably just kill him. That too, right? And they're going to try that. Verse 13, therefore was he hired that I should be afraid and do so and sin, and that they might have matter for an evil report, that they might reproach me. See, he ran. See, he ran to the temple. See, he went where he wasn't supposed to go. And who did he turn to? Verse 14, my God, think thou upon Tobiah and Sanballat according to these their works, and on the prophetess Noadiah, and the rest of the prophets that would have put me in fear. So it wasn't just the one guy. It was several of the prophets that were trying to get him to do these things, that they had been turned for money to turn against Nehemiah and discredit him at the very least. But all that is done. Did they get past all the hurdles? Now comes the fun part. And in 52 days, that all happened in how many days? All of this happened in 52 days. So when it says, and it came to pass, and it came to pass, it's like, they tried this, and then that worked. Try this, let's try this, and they had this problem. Everybody gave money back. Everybody gave land back within, 52 days. Everything was settled. They're on track. And what happened? Verse 15. So the wall was finished in the 25th day of the month of Elul in 52 days. Walls finished, gates up. City is now protected. What is it protecting? Not much. There's not much inside the city. The streets are not finished. The houses are not finished. There's the temple, of course, and a few nobles have houses, but that's about it. But it's protected. And it came to pass when all our enemies heard thereof, and all the heathen that were about us saw these things, they were much cast down in their own eyes, for they perceived that this work was wrought of our God. That's the best part of the story, isn't it? They saw it done in 52 days in spite of all of this, the troubles and everything else, and the human nature and the people problems. In spite of all of that, in 52 days they were done, and all they could say is, God did that. Isn't that a nice end of the story? You ready for a sad part of the story? Because that's not the end of the story. Because there was another fact going on behind the scenes they didn't talk about. There were traitors amongst the nobles and the leaders this whole time, trying to undermine Nehemiah. Let's pick that up. Chapter 6, verse 17 through 19. Moreover, in those days the nobles of Judah sent many letters unto Tobiah, and the letters of Tobiah came unto them. The whole time this was going on, there were nobles in Jerusalem, Jews, who were sending letters back and forth to Tobiah. Here's what Nehemiah is doing. Here's what the people are doing. Here's where they're working. And he's sending letters to them. Do this, do that. We're doing this. Verse 18, for there were many in Judah. What's the worst part of that sentence? Many in Judah sworn unto Tobiah, because he was the son-in-law of Shechaniah, the son of Ara, and his son Johanan had taken the daughter of Meshullam, the son of Berechiah. What did Ezra find out people were doing? Intermarrying. Is it still a problem? Because this is what it leads to. They saw Tobiah as family. They saw Tobiah as a friend, as somebody of authority that could help them. And they the whole time were trying to undermine Nehemiah. Verse 19. Also they reported his good deeds. Nehemiah's good deeds. Tobiah. They also reported Tobiah's good deeds before me and uttered many words to him. So the whole time they're talking about, Tobiah's not such a bad guy. He's a good guy. He did this for us. He did that for us. Why aren't you listening to Tobiah? Why won't you go meet with Tobiah? Right? Why are you making such trouble? Why are we making such trouble with the people? We got to live with these people. And Tobiah sent letters to put me in fear. Why didn't it work? Because Nehemiah prayed. Nehemiah rested on the power of God. And Nehemiah was a great leader because of that, right? And they were able to finish the wall. Isn't that a great story? And the wall is finished and all's good. And Jerusalem hasn't had any problems since. No. But again, it's cool to think about at this point, it is this Jerusalem, it's these walls that the Christ will come to. It is this temple that Jesus Christ will come to. This is a glorious city. This is an important city. The city of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And it's right outside the city where, unfortunately, the Christ will also be what? Killed. But it's also good news for who? For us. For he died for our sins, right? So we will pick up the story next week, because that's not the end of the story for Nehemiah. And one of our friends is going to come back, a guy by the name of Ezra. He's going to come back in, and he's going to do what he was called to do, which is teach people the law. So what we saw in the book of Ezra was just the beginning. So we'll pick back up with him next week.